Move it up.
How's that? Is that better?
I know.
Hello? I'm going to click it to my tongue.
You need the kind that comes on your forehead like they have a Broadway.
Is there volume on this or anything?
There should be, yes.
I don't see, I just see off from here. You're not gonna go yeah. I'm just seeing off from on. Take our chances. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, and welcome to a conversation with Mark Smith, who is the County Commissioner for District 2. I'm Villia Johnson, Vice President of the League of Women Voters of Sarasota County, and I'll also introduce Rhonda. Where is she? There she is. Wait. Oh, okay, Rhonda's over here. She's the other co-vice president of the league here in Sarasota County. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan public policy organization that encourages informed and active participation in government by all citizens. Our presentations are educational, not political, and held as a service to the community. The views expressed today are those of the commissioner, not the league. The league does not support or oppose political candidates or parties. Our guest today is Commissioner Mark Smith, a longtime Sarasota resident. Born in Detroit, he moved to Sarasota in 1963 and attended Riverview High School. After graduating from Georgia Institute of Technology, he returned to Sarasota with his family in 1990 and started his own architectural firm, Smith Architects, located in Siesta Key Village. Mark was elected to the Sarasota County Commission in 2022. He represents the commission on the Bay Park Improvement Board, Jewish Family and Children's Service of the Suncoast, Sarasota County Veterans Commission, Coastal and Heartland National Estuary Partnership, and the Sarasota Manatee Metropolitan Planning Organization. Mark is active in his profession and in the Siesta Key community, meeting with the Siesta Key President's Council. He is also a past board member of Siesta Key and Siesta Key Village Associations, Siesta Key Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, Sheriff's Advisory Board, All Faiths Food Bank, and the Girl Scouts of Gulf Coast, Florida. He has served as president of the Florida Association of the American Institute of Architects and received their silver medal in recognition of his years of leadership and service. So, welcome, Mark. We sure appreciate you working us into your schedule. Our members have submitted a number of questions for this afternoon, but I was going to have Mark go ahead and open with what's on his mind these days in commission business.
Well, I've been on the job for 2 years now, and realize how slow government works. But I've enjoyed it. I've been on a number of won 4 votes in the past, but we're getting better. We have a new commission, and so I feel that some of the opposition to things that I was in favor of perhaps have gone by the wayside. At least we'll find out anyway. On the Girl Scout note, since I am before the League of Women Voters, I am a Girl Scout.
Yay.
When you get on the board of the Girl Scouts, you have to become a Girl Scout. And so I'm a lifelong member. I will tell you a quick story. Well, actually a couple, because they're pretty unique, I guess. Board of Directors of the Girl Scouts, and I was one of 2 guys, although I never saw the other guy. And so I'm in a room, and there's like a square table, and so there's like 24 women and myself, and they're all very accomplished women, nurses, real estate agents, attorneys. And they said, well, they'd do an icebreaker. So why don't you go around the room here and tell us something about yourself that we don't know. So they start going around the room, and I'm trying to think of something. And they get around to me, and they go, Mark? And I said, well, I'm terrified of women. And that didn't help. But one of my greatest accomplishments, really, I think, as a man, is that I had a group of ladies actually believe me. I was chair of the building committee that got the Girl Scout headquarters built at Proctor and Kenmouth. I helped them find the site and then select the architect and the contractor, and then helped them with their capital campaign. But as with every group, not everybody agreed that was the right spot or whatever. And the Girl Scouts had never done a capital campaign up to that point. And I kept telling them, yeah, we're gonna do this, we can do this. Not really knowing, but yeah, I figured, what the heck. I mean, the Girl Scouts, if the Girl Scouts can't raise money, we can, right? So, anyway, it all worked out. And I got the thanks badge from National Girl Scouts, which is the highest honor they give a volunteer. So anyway, with that said, it's one of the reasons that I ran for office, was the fact that I felt it was an extension, really, of my service to the community. And I thought I could do some good. Being an architect, felt that my professional background and experiences would be of value to the board. A lot of land use issues, but also as a service to Sarasota County. And I believe it's working. Like I said, there's been a few 1-4 votes, but like I told folks, I can't help if the other 4 are wrong. Anyway, with that, you have some very good questions. And so we can delve right into them. Do you want to go in order, or do you care?
Whatever you're comfortable with.
All right, well, there we go. They're under different categories: development, climate resilience, community support, public safety, immigration, environmental, and a new question just popped up here about neighborhood workshops. So the first one has to do with development. How does the commission ensure that new development aligns with sustainable growth and infrastructure capacity? Well, apparently it doesn't. Quite honestly, I've only been on 2 years, but previous commissions had literally sold the farm. And some of them are my friends, but I can't help the way they voted. I tried to make that point with the Lakewood Ranch Southeast vote, in which they're going to be dumping more into Fruitville Road. Fruitville Road, where they're dumping the traffic, is already not capable. And so what I'm hoping, and actually to my surprise, the reason I'm laughing is I wasn't prepared for a win. Southeast, I think we did 4 parcels in the southeast, and Commissioner Knight never opposed it, and it passed. And then they had 1 parcel left, and so I had the same argument. Fruitville Road isn't ready. There's no transition between the development and the rural MACA, which is supposed to be part of the 2050 plan. And by golly, Commissioner Nutter voted with us, and we defeated it 3-2. The reason I stay here is it was a win in a sense that it put the land Jensen and company are gonna come back, and they'll get this thing. But maybe what I'm trying to do is have the lighting, try to work with Dark Skies to protect Myakka, not only old Myakka, but Myakka State Park and the animals out there. And so you're gonna be seeing some more Dark Sky stuff come before us, and I think we have some momentum. Charlie Bailey, I don't know how many of y'all know Charlie. He's a land use attorney. He's a friend of mine. His dad, Dan Bailey, is a superhuman being. I mean, even for an attorney. But anyway, when they did the celery fields, trying to do the celery field and the craziness, Charlie came up with this Dark Sky proposal, like, the barking dogs and everything would be okay, but as long as the lights were lower, the birds would like it. But anyway, he actually was a little congestion. But what he came up with was a great, I thought it was a great idea about street lights, and lighting itself, the number of lumens, and so on and so forth. And so I brought that up. I said, hey, we gotta use Charlie Bailey's lighting and for anything that's out east, And I don't know if you know Mara Hardy. Does anybody know Mara? With the Friends of the Myakka River? Well, Esther and I didn't introduce my wife Esther, who's sitting in the front row here. Sorry.
Hey, Esther.
We joined Friends of Myakka. I grew up here, and Myakka River's always been good to me. So, and I haven't eaten by an alligator, so, although Esther came close. But that's another story. But anyway, she's really pushing the Dark Skies for the park, and so we met, and at this point we're gonna be here till midnight. So, but I don't mind talking, so I don't know how long you got. Anyway, she's really trying to get the Dark Skies for the park, and so I told her, look into Charlie Bailey's deal, and she did, and apparently Charlie was on the road, and so that's going to be coming before us. So I think I talked that one to death. We'll go on to the next one. Many structures have been destroyed in recent storms, will be replaced, with safer, more expensive options. How will current residents afford to live here in the future? With or without the storms, I'm not sure anybody can afford to live here. Fortunate to buy on Siesta Key in 1993, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, block from Siesta Beach with an in-ground pool for $155,000.
Wow.
They wanted $175, but I was approved for $155, and so here I am. But I told Esther we can't afford to live here, but we can't afford to sell. You sell, where are you going to go? And maybe you've heard you talk about this. FEMA lowered the base flood elevation in Sarasota County and on the barrier islands. Our home, again, a block from Siesta Beach, was at a base flood elevation of 11. The house is at 8. Helene came within a foot of flooding the house, so it was probably around 7. So FEMA lowered the base flood elevation to 9. We were planning an addition on the house, and I was thinking, and I heard that FEMA was going to change the base flood elevation. I thought it was going to go up. Seems like reasonable.
What does that mean, the base flood level?
Well, when you're in an A zone, an AE zone, if you're on a barrier island, or even if you're out east, but basically, you have to build, according to the Florida Building Code, 1 foot higher than the base flood elevation as established by the FEMA firm maps. And so, we were at 11, so we would have to build 12. got elected, I tried to convince the county commission that perhaps Sarasota County should adopt a design flood elevation. And the barrier islands, like the cities of Holmes Beach, Braden Beach, and I believe Longboat Key also, have their own design flood elevation, which means in the case of Holmes Beach, you have to build 3 feet above the base flood elevation instead of the 1 foot by the Florida Building Code. And so I was trying to convince the commissioners that we should have a design flood elevation of maybe 3 or 4 feet to counter the fact they lowered it 2 feet. In my area, some areas they lowered it 4 feet. They actually lowered it 4 feet at the bay where the Van Wezel is. And so I've talked to Congressman Stubbe, I've talked to FEMA. So what are you basing this on? They're basing it on data. You know, I would think that one of the data points would actually be the flooding. But anyway, I didn't get anywhere. The previous commission thought that the government knows best and will not go there. So I took a different tact and talking, I think we're going to get somewhere, to allowing people to voluntarily build higher. Now you can voluntarily build higher now, but you can only build, the maximum you can build for a residence is 35 feet above the base flood elevations, or that 1 foot that the state requires for a building code. So if you were to voluntarily build higher and that height can go with you, you could basically build a lower house. I mean, right at 35 feet is if you wanted to build 3 stories, and I know 3 stories is a lot, but if you have a small lot, 3 stories may be what you need. But it gives you that freedom. So I believe that the commission will help folks that want to build up higher. Because the whole thing about resiliency is you have to build up higher. You got to get out of the water. You know, you run for the wind. Right? No, you run for the water and hide from the wind. And so, and not only on the barrier islands, but also out east. If you're in a riverine area, floodplain, it'd be a good idea to build up. So, I can't answer how anybody can afford to live. Affordable housing, which is going to be coming out. Excellent. We had a great joint meeting with the city of commission. The city is much farther ahead on affordable housing than the county. So I'm hoping that we'll look at how the city's doing it and implement some of their strategic areas there as far as affordable housing. The commission recently made significant financial commitment towards the dredging Philippi Creek and other major waterways to prevent future flooding. Do you believe dredging will fully address flooding before hurricane season? Excuse me. That was appropriate though. Do you believe enough is being done to address the flooding issues throughout the county? Well, no, not yet. We're not done yet, but the dredging is decades behind. Not only Philippi Creek, but all the creeks, ditches. So we're going to have another workshop. I actually just had breakfast this morning with Stephen Swab, who I'm sure you all are familiar with. He's brilliant.
He spoke to us recently.
Good. Yeah, I think he mentioned it. And he has some great ideas. So I probably won't say any more about that. To be continued, but so let's move on. Since District 2 includes Siesta Key, we need to ask about mega hotels. Is it accurate that a 112-room project proposed by Dave Ballard will proceed? It is our understanding the county staff is now reviewing an application to change the protective laws of our comprehensive plan and to approve mega hotels in Siesta Village. Can you offer insight into this process? What can residents do to make their voices heard on this issue? Well, like I said, I live and work on Siesta Key, and Dave Ballard's hotel, I'm afraid, is a done deal. Another one of my 1-4 votes, was to appeal that decision of the judge that said that because no one challenged his application, and at the time, the county commission had voted that it was not a violation of the comp plan to have unlimited density for hotels on the barrier island. He can go forward. He can't change his design in any way, shape, or form. And so we'll see. So I know there's folks watching him, watching the project, and we'll throw a flag if they see anything different. But anyway, and the second had to do with developers trying to change the comprehensive plan. I mean, I read the article that Rachel Hackney had written. I haven't seen anything, but what I believe is happening. Is there anybody from the press here, just out of curiosity? Is it just among us girls?
Yeah.
They are planning on trying to change it for countywide. They were a bit greedy. They had countywide and also Siesta Key. Lourdes Ramirez's lawsuit, when it won, the two judges basically said that you shouldn't encourage hotel development, especially unlimited, on barrier islands or in flood zones A and B. And so C, D, and E, out by the interstate, I don't think it really matters. So anyway, I believe they're trying to change it for the mainland. And this is my theory on why Sister Promenade hasn't done anything, because Benderson, I think maybe they have 400 hotel rooms there. If this were to go through, they could have 1,600. I don't know, it's unlimited, so that's just, I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory or what, but I mean, other than their past use, which was, was a dump for us on Siesta Key, which I surmise he wanted to do that just to get back at the neighbors that were against his development. But that's probably not true. So anyway, there won't be a comp plan change with this current board to allow mega hotels on Siesta Key, because you need 4 votes. And they already know where mine is. And I don't believe they got 4. So I'm not worried. But that doesn't mean future boards, so you never know. Sarasota's population growth, traffic congestion continues to be a major concern. What plans are in place to improve public transportation and manage traffic effectively? Well, I'm on the MPO board. It's a Metropolitan Planning Organization. There's 3 of us, representing Sarasota County, Commissioner Nunder, and myself. And it's made up of Sarasota County, Sarasota City, City of Venice, Northport, Bradenton, Manatee County, the islands of Holmes Beach, Rainy Beach. And something we all know is that the area has grown in population faster than definitely FDOT or even the county. If they have to keep up. I was told by FDOT that it takes 25 years to get a new interchange on interstate. They do 10-year planning. as far as population by every 2 years. So we're never gonna catch up. I hate to say that. I'm not trying to be a downer, but it's just, we all experience. I mean, it's a lot, a good deal of the time of the year. What will eventually happen is if we can keep conserving land out east, we'll eventually get to the point where we can't build anymore. We're gonna be like Pinellas County. I lived in St. Pete for 9 years. You know, trees are in people's yards. There's very few parks, and they're built out, essentially. And you're not gonna build anything new in St. Pete unless you tear something down. And so, we're not there yet. We're getting there, but we're not there yet. And so, eventually, I mean, the thing about mass transit is that you need mass. You actually need density. You need density to have affordable housing. And that's the incentives that the city of Sarasota has done. And so, I know nobody likes density, but we want something affordable. I'm afraid it's just a numbers game. There's economy of scale. But anyway, I'm not giving us much hope. Although if it gets bad enough, perhaps light rail, although I love the Legacy Trail, and probably it's one of the spots we can actually put it. It's the on-demand service that Sarasota Transit has got in place really does work. And so it's something, again, mass transit's gonna have to, it'll come, but we're gonna have to suffer through it. And even then, it means we have so much congestion, we can't get on the road. And that's, it gets back to, you're all over the place. So about 2050, the thought was that you would have these villages out east. They'd be self-contained. There'd be shops, businesses, housing. And some of it has to be affordable, and that was in there. Developers touting that they can't make enough money have essentially limited, if not eliminated, affordable housing. And have been able to get away with it. And so what happens is nobody that can work out there can live out there. I mean, Pat Neal's 3H deal, which was another 1-4 vote, he had two villages with shops and a school, and not a school teacher or a retail salesperson could live out there, which means they're gonna be on Fruitville and Clark Roads. I mean, it's just, it's crazy. And that's one reason, if you go into a restaurant now, and you may say, hey, there's plenty of seats, you know, why is it taking so long? Well, they don't have any staff. Because the folks that work for a living can't live here. And so it's essential that we have affordable housing. And it's essential that it's out east, so they're not driving in and out of town. And you know, those of us that are fortunate to live on Barrier Island, when it's sunny, I understand the island rate. If you need anything fixed or repaired, there's a surcharge for going out on the island. Well, all of North Sarasota County is going to experience the island rate, because our workers used to come from Northport, but Northport's booming, they don't need to come up here. And they used to come from Manatee County, Manatee's booming, so they're not going to come south. So we're all going to be paying the island rate, if they come at all. I mean, just try to get something fixed. A pool cage, we finally got that rescreened, and it blown out and melted in October. And I'm an architect, and I know people in construction, I can't get anything. So. All right, next week is a public workshop discussing whether $14 million in public funds will be used to widen a portion of Bee Ridge Road. A move that many think would only benefit a planned super development east of Interstate 75. What do Sarasota County residents need to know about this proposal? Well, We'll find out. This is another one to be continued. However, I will tell you that, in comments that I made at the July 15th meeting of '24, was that there's like 5 or 6 items that staff needed to make sure happened for us to approve this development. And one of them was that the language needed to be updated to clarify that the design, permitting, and construction of Bee Ridge Road extension would be at the sole cost of the master developer. And number 2, another one, I shouldn't say number 2, because that was actually, I think, 5 on the list, is that in those principles of agreement, the Bee Ridge Road extension and the roundabout are site related, meaning they should be the cost of the master developer. This falls under the category of make sure you ask the right questions at the right time. And I didn't ask this commissioner, didn't ask staff if these 5 items were taken care of in the new agreement. And so, as it turns out, depends on who you talk to, some staff say they are taken care of, and other folks maybe not. So that's what we're going to talk about. My understanding is Sarasota County will not be paying that $14 million based on what we told staff, what I believed needed to be in there. So we'll see. So I think the workshop's a good idea. I think Michael Barfield, bless his heart, you know, this is a Southern thing. You say bless your heart. You say all kinds of things about people. I think he went off track on a lot of accusations, but he did hit it as far as there's some misunderstandings. So, but I'm full support of Jonathan Lewis. But I have learned that you have to ask the right question at the right time and get the right answer, or get the answer you're looking for, and not keep asking the question until you get it. And I assumed, because this is the direction we gave them, that this is what we were getting. So, as you know about assuming, and it's right. It's accurate. Is the county taking steps to purchase land for environmental protection? And yes, that leads me to my 2 little friends here. They're called Twiggy. This is the new mascot for the environmental sensitive lands. Sarasota County, over the last 25 years, has acquired 40,540 acres that are now protected based on the voter referendum to the Environmentally Sensitive Lands Protection Program. I believe the number is about 32% of Sarasota County is now protected, either by the conservation, Big Water folks, Myakka State Park, and Oscar-Share State Park. But we're on the clock. Conservation easements, talking to the folks out of Myakka. The problem was quite evident in the celery fields. We had, Grandpa, maybe Dad, that worked the land, and then the grandkids and the kids see dollar signs and say, let's sell it. We don't want to work the land. And they have that right. However, some landowners, and major landowners like Carlton family, the Gino family, and the Longino family, and others have given their property or made it conservation. There's some financial compensation, but it doesn't come near what a developer would give them. And so, as I said out loud, is that if you could get certain properties in Omayaka to become conservation easements with the county, it'd be like a chessboard. And if you get enough of them, it wouldn't be worth their while for them to take 10 acres here. You know, they can't get the 150 acres or whatever they need to make the money they need to make. So conservation easements, conservation groups like Big Water are key to protect what we have left. And it's not, I mean, we need agriculture. We have to eat. Though it's also used to purify the water before it hits the bay. And to hold the water before it gets to the bay. And before it makes it to Philippi Creek or the other creeks. So it's essential, quite honestly, for clean air, clean water. But it's difficult when hundreds of millions of dollars are tossed at people that probably haven't worked for a living because their family did. Anyway, that's an editorial comment.
But Mark, before we go on, I'd like to just interject something, and I'm also gonna throw you off script with another question, but, first of all, so is this for somebody to take and hear the little
Oh, yeah, actually, you
sliders?
take these and yes, I don't want you to fight over them, I could throw them, but I don't want to do that either. I will tell you some of my ideas are brilliant. You probably haven't heard of it, but when I first saw this and Nicole showed it to me, I said, that's great. And I said, are there seeds in here? And she goes, no, that'd be brilliant. I said, yeah, I mean, hand these out and they can cut them open and plant them. No, I don't know. But anyway, I just thought if they had some type of seeds in them, it'd make more sense. I mean, but anyway, you can raffle them off.
And there are,
Oh,
some
and then we have brochures
and
here.
decals.
And, yeah, and stickers, and basically this, take this, it's good that, it's the overview of the SLAP program. And it's a great program, and that's why the voters keep voting for it.
Okay, I also just wanted to point out that this chapter, this league chapter, has just started an observer corps. We've always had an observer corps for school board and hospital board, and now we have just started an observer corps for county commission. The reports, it's not that every detail of the content is included, but kind of a general overview and just the notion that sometimes things come up that are not on the agenda. So we're just trying to capture that information, and it will be posted on our website and in our newsletter, just so you're aware of that. And then the question I wanted to ask you that's off script is, every time you answered a question, I thought, and what should citizens be doing about this if this is their passion or their interest? How do citizens and voters speak effectively to the commission to make their preferences
If you
known?
go from the beginning, you gotta elect people that will listen. If you elect people that don't listen, it doesn't matter. I believe we have a board that's listening. We'll see. I mean, so far so good. But emails showing up at the commission. But really, I don't know if you have a government affairs committee or, maybe what you just talked about. I know like with CSD Chamber of Commerce, we had a government affairs committee, and there'd be issues that came up that affected Siesta Key and businesses on Siesta Key. And then we'd get together and delve into it and bring it back to the chamber board and say, we think we should, this is an issue we think we should pursue, like mega hotels. And then we would meet with individual commissioners. And so really the one-on-ones help and explain your point of view and why. And I've always had the approach that, that it's great if you can, offer a solution. Like, if they're gonna do something, you maybe ought to think about something else. Maybe this would be a better approach. Maybe, you know, it helps. I think it helps. So I just, people, I've heard, felt, there's somebody against everything. It doesn't matter what the topic is, there's somebody against it. I've joked that if the county gave away cold bricks, there's somebody complaining that we need to kill him here, my back, I can't lift this thing. So, I mean, so there's somebody against everything. But if you have a good argument on why you're against it, by all means. And you know, and not that I'm asking for more emails, but it does help. It helps to show up. It helps go and open to the public. If it's on you, you speak to it, or if it's coming up. And interestingly enough, the general public finds out about things that are going to be on our agenda before I know it. I find out the week before, the Tuesday before the board meeting is when I get the agenda, whatever else does. For some reason, I'll have emails about something I don't even know about it. I get maybe because it goes to the planning board first, and I have enough on my plate, I don't pay attention to the planning board. And what's on their plate, I mean, I pay attention once we finally get it, but I don't look that far down the road. Let your voices heard. And like I said, if you have a solution, if you have a better idea, or if you're just against it, that's fine too. I mean, there's, you know, for instance, like the cell tower, we just turned one down the other day. And actually we turned down a couple of them. And I know it's a NIMBYism, maybe not my backyard type thing. And we do need cell towers. And I understand the whole network thing. But sometimes they just pick a bad spot. And they did down south. And they basically admitted that they had another spot that was objectionable, a little more industrial rather than, and so they moved it. Now this last group, maybe they learned from the previous one, that no, we don't have any other options. Mm-hmm. This is the best one. And it's right by the interstate. But the neighbors came to the meeting and said, you know, there are other spots. And they actually had a map and they showed where along the interstate it would work better for the neighborhood. And so I asked Verizon, bless their hearts, is this the only spot you can put this? And he hemmed and hawed and basically said yes. And I'm like, no, it isn't. That's my insight voice. And so anyway, it was voted down 3-2. So it does work. If you know, it works with certain boards. We got a good board here. I have to admit. This board, the last board, nice people. Anyway. So moving right along.
Okay, so I think
I'm almost down to the first page.
yeah, no, I think you are done with the first page, aren't you?
No, we're in climate resilience.
Yes. Oh, maybe I have it.
Aren't we
on climate resilience now?
Yes, we are. Oh, but you have a
Oh, I
different
have a
page.
different page.
I'm sorry.
Okay, never mind.
The one I printed out.
Proceed.
Well, you know, we kind of addressed it. It was following recent hurricanes like Milton. How is the county enhancing the disaster preparedness and supporting effective residents and recovery efforts? Well, I will tell you that I'm going to be, I signed up for a 4-hour FEMA disaster prep course coming up around April 11th. Since that's what's been hard. In that I haven't had the opportunity of being locked up in the EOC during a hurricane. I've been evacuated. I've been evacuated for Helene, even though it was 100 miles off, and surely nothing's going to happen. But I said it's a bad luck to have a commissioner airlifted off the roof, in an evacuation zone. so Esther and I went and stayed in a condo by our grandson. And then Milton, of course, was supposed to wipe us out. And, the power of prayer saved us on that one. They broke apart. Went from 5-4 to 3, broke apart. But the eye going over Siesta Key, which actually was a blessing. But I will tell you that Sarasota County has been working on raising up the lift stations and the and other utilities to make sure that they don't get harmed. They do shut the water and the power off to the keys. I'm not really dragging this meeting out, but I have another short story. Years ago, I went to a Siesta Key meeting where the emergency manager was coming in here. His name escapes me. But at that time, they would just shut the power off on the island, which means the lift stations are going to be powered down. Because if you power them down and they get up to submerged, then when the salt water goes back down, you can hose them down and they're good. If they're charged and the salt water hits them, it fries them. So that's why they do that. So, so I raised my hand. I said, so you're saying that when the lift stations, and I don't know if everybody knows what a lift station does, but it, poop goes downhill, except when there's no hill. So that's why you need a lift station. So I said, so you mean the toilets are going to back up on Siesta Key? He says, no, there's probably enough capacity in the pipe. And I said, can I make a suggestion that you say, no, the toilets are going to back up? I said, people want to evacuate for a hurricane, but they evacuate the toilets back up. But anyway, I think we are working on that, of getting all our public facilities up. And I believe strongly if we allow people to build higher, and we're talking maybe a couple of feet. I'd like to get maybe 3 feet, maybe at least 2 feet. Because they say, well, the cost of the home is going to be more. Well, 2 more block, 3 more block, 24 inches, compared to 24 inches of water in the house, where you've lost your appliances, your furniture, flooring. I mean, it's nothing in reality compared. So we are working on it. I believe we're heading in the right direction, but we're going to be more resilient.
I think you answered this next
The next one, yeah, storm surge. Yeah, we did. Actually, I asked 2 questions at once. They're becoming more efficient. Community support. Last year, many changes in funding essential community services provided by nonprofits like United Way, Suncoast, and Harvest House. Will there be any changes this year to restore funding to allow the important services they provide to continue on their road? I hope so. That's all I can say. There's a different attitude on the board. Chuck Henry, do you know Chuck Henry? He's a state employee and a county employee. He's in the health department. His department basically looks after behavioral health and HAC. I don't remember what that stands for. But anyway, the behavioral health and the non-behavioral health committees. And he's much more optimistic with this board. There was a couple of my other 1-4 votes was trying to keep the funding the same for these different things, and it didn't work out. So I'm hoping it will, but we won't know. It's kind of suspenseful. We won't know until we get before the board, but I'm hopeful. How is the commission addressing the growing needs of affordable housing? Well, we kind of talked about that. The city of Sarasota is a great example. And the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which I've mentioned a couple different times. And apparently we have an Affordable Housing Trust Fund, but it's not funded.
Oh, good. Doesn't work.
Then, it's kind of oxymoron or something there. But this is actually John Thaxton and Drayton Saunders, who they're on the Affordable Housing Task Force, and they're going to be giving us a report here. And And I got a hold of Drake after talking to John Thaxton. I said, tell me about this trust fund thing. And basically what it would be is that if the county commission, or I should say when the county commission, rezones property for somebody, and the value of that property goes up because of the rezoning. Like for instance, if it's 1 acre, or 1 building per acre, and you're given 10 units per acre, that property value goes up. That the taxable, the property taxes go up with it. That a portion, a percentage of that property tax increase would be put into a trust fund for affordable housing. So it's like free money, I'd say. You know, we were not raising anybody's taxes. I mean, these folks who are delivering, developing the property, and whoever gets it, you know, their taxes go up, it's gonna go up anyway, but we take that money, some of the money, a percentage of it. And since we're about 20 years behind on affordable housing, you know, maybe it needs to be a bigger chunk initially. Until we have, then we would have something that we could use, money we could use either to buy property that we could, because it's the land value that really is the big chunk in affordable housing. You can't really do much for construction. But anyway, it would help. It would help. And so I haven't gotten any traction yet with the other commissioners, but we'll see. I sense staff isn't thrilled, only because I'm taking part of their general fund, put it somewhere else. But we'll see. You know, it's the will of the board if I can get enough members here. Because the only way we're paying for affordable housing now is when we have a disaster. And then we get state or federal money. And so then we put some money in affordable housing, but we also have to fix up housing that got damaged too. So it just seems, and insulated, I'm not sure the term is right, but those are properties that somebody dies and they don't have any family, and so it goes to the county. So I mean, waiting for somebody to die with no friends or family or a storm doesn't seem to be, I mean, it just doesn't seem a good plan. You know, I mean, I'm just thinking, maybe something a little bit more
I don't
positive.
want to put you on the spot, but Manatee County does have a funded affordable housing trust or whatever. Do you happen to know where their money comes from?
No, I do know Pinellas does also, but they voted for a penny tax.
I see.
Additional penny tax, and since we got plenty of penny taxes on us, I'm not sure that would work. I mean, I'd like to try something, and I don't know if you know Mark Bancroft. He does affordable housing, and his suggestion is to get the affordable trust fund funded, and then use that money to loan it to affordable housing developers, because when they're putting deals together, they're borrowing money, and if they could borrow from this trust fund as like the last thing, that could close the deal. It would be a low interest loan, and his thinking is that then the trust fund would actually make money on the interest. You know? So that's something. I heard indirectly from staff they don't want to be a bank. Anyway, there's all types of reasons why you can't do something, but there should be just as many to do it. And so we'll see. It's the will of the board. So if we can move the board's will, we'll get somewhere. So I haven't given up on that one either. Public safety. What do we need to know about the need for the new jail facility, estimated costing $700 million? Well, you already know the most important thing, it's going to cost $700 million. It's going to sound negative again. Like a lot of things the county has put off, the jail is one of them. And you ought to get Commissioner Knight here. He would.
I would love to help us with that.
Oh, okay, I would do that. He's a good guy. I've known Tom for a long time. And he said we needed a jail when he was sheriff. I believe the jail is certified for around 800, high 700s. We have 1,100 folks in And because of, gosh, it's not just locking people up anymore. You have to separate them by sex, you have to separate them by age, you gotta separate them by violent behavior, you gotta separate them. I mean, it's just, you can't put them right next to each other, and so, and right now they're on top of each other. And so, literally, if you have a tour of a jail, I think they may open it up to the public, it's educational. So, another reason why it's important for some of our not-for-profits that are trying to help folks turn their lives around and not go to jail, or when they get out of jail, not return to jail. Anyway, we talked about that. But anyway, we need the jail, and we need a jail that's large enough that as soon as we get done building it, we're not at capacity again. And so I believe this will buy us, I think maybe 30 years, 20 to 30 years. And jails are expensive. As an architect, I've only had the opportunity of getting involved with one design of a jail. And it's a fascinating design concept. You have only so much time to design a building, and they have several years to figure out what you did wrong. And where we want to put it, downtown, it should be by the existing jail. We're looking at kind of we have some county property by the existing jail, and just some city property that we could possibly use. And so it's some talk. It's like, why don't you put a jail down in Venice or down South County? Why are we putting it right downtown? I know people in downtown are saying, why are you putting another jail in downtown? And I asked Commissioner Knight, since that's really his line. He said, yes, they had a jail in Venice at one time. And a small jail. But because jails, you don't just lock people up. You obviously have to feed them, medical attention, counseling. I mean, if you ever need an operation, you should probably get arrested. Don't do that. But I mean, it's just that there's, and the transporting of inmates to the courthouse, it's expensive. So having them in the neighborhood makes the most sense. And so, like I said, he's the expert, so I'll leave it up to him. But we do have capacity in the property downtown to do that. Now, the Argus Foundation, I don't know if you're familiar with the Argus Foundation, but they're influential group of folks, business and such. And they didn't want us, the county, to put a jail on Main Street. There's one on there now. They don't want to put another. They want to leave Main Street open for business, which makes sense. So, but Ringling, that area is pretty much jail central, judicial center next to the Silvertooth Judicial Building. So, anyway, I think we'll probably, I don't know, we're negotiating. Can't say anymore. I probably said too much, but it's fine. We'll be downtown, and the thing is, we are on the verge of violating, I guess, their civil rights, and we're going to start letting them go. So I thought maybe adopt an inmate program, and with every inmate, we'd give you a free coyote. I made that up.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
But eventually we're probably going to have, we have to do something, because the judge is going to tell us we're going to, the folks that, the lesser of all evils, you got to let them out. So, but it's a big deal, and it takes like 8 years for us to get through the process. I mean, it's just crazy. Yes, ma'am.
A question question I have, Governor DeSantis has talked about getting rid of property taxes. What is your opinion about getting rid of property taxes? I would think most of the county government is based on property tax income.
Yes, yes, not to mention your schools,
Yes.
the sheriff's department, trash collection. I don't, you know, I don't know the governor. God bless his heart. But I don't know, I haven't heard the plan on how we're going to make government work. I mean, it's kind of a neat idea. Let's not ever pay any taxes.
I mean,
Well, the good news is we won't have a jail. The bad news is, you know, we'll probably have more crime. I doesn't, you know, in Sarasota County, we said we haven't raised the millage rate, but the property taxes keep going up because the property values go up.
Right.
You know, and so I think it wouldn't be bad to have more tax relief, maybe more exemptions. Raise the exemptions for folks that own their home. I mean, we have all kinds of exemptions for military, and those of us that are getting older, I don't think we've hit one yet, Esther, but we're getting there. Or the next tier or whatever, but I mean, it's, I believe in property tax relief. But we still need the property taxes to run the county. I mean, if you think the roads are bad now, let's get rid of property tax. I mean, we'll have more money in our pocket, but we won't be able to drive anywhere, because, of course, I have a Jeep, because I'm on the keys, so I'd suggest you all get four-wheel drives, because the roads will be fast. But anyways, yes, ma'am.
I have a question of, what is the projects or initiatives that you are championing, for the county?
Affordable housing is one of them. Oh gosh, the water, and that's actually, we're on that. Our water quality, the advanced water treatment plant at Bee Ridge should be done at the end of this year. That's gonna be one of the best water treatment plants in the area, if not the state. Then we have to work on the Venice Gardens one. Dredging the creeks, making Sarasota County more resilient. That was really, again, as an architect, you gotta build up. We gotta build up. We gotta build up, we gotta keep the water down. I mean, it seems pretty basic, water down, buildings high. The county has neglected the infrastructure for decades. Philippi Creek, when I was a kid, I never swam in it, but my nephews did. Cleaned up a hair condition on one of them, but anyway, as we build out east, there's less pervious surface, it's more impervious. And that water's all gotta make it to the bay. And it can't be all the oil and stuff that's on the streets going right to the bay. I mean, the Bay Park project's a beautiful example of bioswales and a way to filter the water before it hits the bay. And so we need to do that everywhere. The fertilizer ordinance that Sarasota County has is one of the strongest in the state. And so, water and air quality, I'm still trying to get US Recycling in downtown Sarasota, which is an abomination. In one God's name, I was kind of hoping that we could use it as a bombing range.
Or something.
Just blow the damn thing up and call it a night. All the testing or whatever, it wouldn't be productive. But I mean, air pollution, water quality, traffic, and traffic and affordable housing go together. I often thought maybe I'm too late. All the entitlements is what they're called, entitlements that the developers have been given. But maybe in them developing their entitlements, maybe we can control the light and the water quality leaving them. So that's my hope.
Okay, we're running a little over. I'm just gonna ask you
All right.
2 more questions. Let's
All
do
right.
immigration.
Oh, immigration, well, that's a short one. For us, Sarasota County School Board and the sheriff's or, you know, handling immigration. We don't get involved in immigration. And we have enough on our plate to keep the water out of the streets. You know, so fortunately, it's not our thing, and so,
Okay.
don't call us. You
And
call the
then
sheriff.
I wanted to ask, I don't know where you had it on your copy,
What?
I think it's from the
Go ahead.
addition about the neighborhood workshops.
Oh, the reinstating neighborhood workshops. I tried before with the previous board, and it didn't work. I would suggest the League of Women Voters express their opinion on if they think neighborhood workshops should be reinstated. It was a COVID era situation, which, you know, during COVID, we didn't know what we didn't know. You know, I mean, remember we were supposed to keep our packages outside for 24 hours? You know, it's crazy, wash your hands every time you turn around. Anyway, it's passed, you know, I guess it's still here, but it's not killing us like it used to. And we need in-person workshops. You need to be heard. You need to face the people that are wanting to change your neighborhood or your area of town, or whatever. And the time is here. I think, I sense this board, maybe, they agreed when I mentioned to bring it back for consideration. So I would definitely, please, let them know your voice. I want it. So if you don't want it, don't call. It only makes sense. I've been on a Zoom call when I was a civilian and an architect, and they didn't even show the faces of the people at the board that are talking. They were just voices, and I'm like, oh my God, this is just unbelievable. And one guy made a good point about development. Maybe he said, no. And I'm like, wow, okay. So anyway, it was my turn. I had a little more favorable results, but it was government and it's worse. It's absolutely big brother, you know. And there's more times than not I hear about technical difficulties, where you have to get permission to get on, you know. I mean, just crazy stuff.
Okay, we'll apply ourselves to that.
That would be good.
We're a little over time. Does anybody have a really pressing question that you feel like you must ask? Yes, ma'am.
Well, actually, two of them, but that's fine.
I feel like you help me understand why you think immigration is not any concern of yours. You have a police force who supposedly, if you read what's in the papers, that police forces are supposed to assist ICE in rounding up.
We control the sheriff's budget, but we don't control the sheriff.
Right.
And in the city, you know, they have a police force that I guess is hired by the manager, city manager. It's just that, it's just not our thing. I mean, we can question the sheriff, but we're not the boss of the sheriff. The sheriff is elected.
Oh, true.
And so you need to express your views to your elected officials, including the sheriff. So I would say, if he's not doing something one way or the other, let him know. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about concurrency.
Yes.
I know concurrency disappeared in Florida about the time Rick Scott did away with the Growth Management Act.
Yes.
Is it possible for the county commissioners to reenact a countywide concurrency ordinance? Is that a charter amendment? I mean, what would that?
Can you explain what that means?
Yeah.
Well, concurrency, what it was, if you develop a piece of land and your traffic and your impact on the area, you had to improve the roads around it within so far. Rick Scott eliminated it, or the legislators eliminated it with Rick Scott's support. And so in place of that was supposed to be these mobility fees that are supposed to pay for it. Again, I've only been on the job a couple of years, but it doesn't seem to be paying Case in point is Fruitville Road. Rex Jensen, who owns Lakewood Ranch, bless his heart, wrote us a letter because we turned down Lakewood Ranch Southeast, saying that Fruitville Road wasn't ready for more traffic in that section. In fact, it's not even the planning stage, that's how far away it is. And he said, you know, we're contributing, I think up to $6 million. It's a $60 million project. So I appreciate the $6 million, but we're not there. So I believe it does come back to the county commission to just say no. No, you know, the roads aren't there. And the infrastructure's not there. We should be building faster than the infrastructure. But sometimes it's the chicken or the egg. But if you look at Rex's Lakewood Ranch, all the new roads he built were 4 lanes. You know, and I do believe Pat Neal and Rex Jensen, they can actually build roads cheaper than the county can. I mean, one of the problems with the county and the government in general when it comes to projects is that we tell people how much the budget is. So if you were to tell the contractor if you let the word out, I'll pay you $1,000 to do this job, and they knew it was gonna cost them $500, I can guarantee you that the job's gonna be $999. You know, it's just the way it is. And I've said, well, can't we put projects together and advertise them so they couldn't figure out how much individual projects cost? You know, like these 5 projects cost $50 million, you know, and you couldn't tell where that was split. Apparently, our legislators said, no, you gotta let them know, for budget reasons. And so it's insanity. What roads cost. It's the same what everything costs, but anyway. Yeah, I'd say our only hope is the county commission, and I'm sitting there, and so, but we've already entitled them. They've already been entitled to build those number of units out there. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to pay for it. And so we look for the federal government or the state to help us with the roads. And it's a real conundrum.
So the message, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just wanna, do you see, any major impact of the dismantling of the federal government that's going on in Washington, on your function and on the county?
Well, it is gonna affect us in that if they cut all the money to the not-for-profits, you know, on their level, we as a county are gonna lose those services, and the county government can't jump in. You know, we have so much money allocated, and there's actually folks out there who don't want to kind of spend any money on any not-for-profits. So there's a balancing act there. But, you know, it depends if it hits infrastructure like roads, bridges, things like that, it could affect us. It won't affect our county, I don't believe it's gonna affect our county function. Now, what it could affect is the sheriff. If he is told to go out there and round up immigrants that aren't legal, where are we gonna put them? Our jails are already full. And so there's a lot of, you know, I don't think it's a healthy situation. You know, bless his heart. But you know, the power of prayer. We're gonna have to keep praying. That doesn't have, that's all we got. We're all on a wait and see kind of thing. You know, I've read that 36% of the people don't watch the news anymore. They don't want to know. I'm not sure that helps, but
Well, the strong message I got tonight is that your vote is your voice, and that we have to vote and turn people out to vote, so that's our mission. We wanna really thank Mark so much for spending the time. All elected officials are willing to meet with their constituents. And we also appreciate Esther sharing her personal time with us. I want to just point out, of course, I know many of you already know, we have several upcoming events, and there's a handout over at the desk. We have affordable housing, same time, same place, on April 15th here at Selby. And on April 21st, we have a talk on clean water by Suncoast Waterkeeper down at Venice Community Center. So we invite you to share all those with us, and thank you very much for attending, we appreciate it.
Thank you.